Are you wanting to improve the quality of your life, but you're just holding yourself back, and maybe your mental health's not there, maybe your confidence not quite there, and you're just wondering how to progress? Well, today I'm going to share something that was a big realization to me that as I'm working through it has enhanced the quality of my life. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra point for you then. As always, if you want to connect with me further, you can find my social media links in the show notes below. And I also now have breathwork sessions available that you can book in as well, linked below. So for me, this one thing is this: rejection. The quality of my life, and it's not something someone said, but I realized it by studying lots of people and going through life experiences, but the quality of my life has improved when I've been able to move through the fear of rejection. And there's never going to be a point, I don't believe, in my life where I'm going to have no fear of rejection. No, it just doesn't happen. However, my tolerance to go through situations and face rejections has significantly got better over time. And there was a point where I was really holding myself back. I wasn't making much of my job. I couldn't talk to girls. I was struggling socially. And that's because I had such a fear of rejection. Now, of course, there are situations where I get a little bit nervous, right? If you asked me to run around the street naked, I probably wouldn't do it. Very likely wouldn't do it. There may be some rare people on the planet who actually do that, as a dare. Because their tolerance to that kind of rejection is really, really narrow, even though they probably would be a little bit fearful. Right. Okay, that's an extreme example. However, many times I see people holding themselves back through rejection, and actually mentally, that can really impact you if you're holding yourself back from the fear of rejection. The thing is, what I've realized as I've grown into a sales manager, into a project manager, is I've been able to do that because I've worked through the fear. And it doesn't mean I haven't had it. It just means I've been able to tolerate a lot more willingness, or have more willingness to face rejection. Right. And that's really what I'm going to share. Now, I'm going to give you some guidance on how you can do that, as always, because me just saying, go out and face rejection, you might be like, well, how do I do that, right? Well, I want to give you some practical tips, as always. But I just want to ask you this. If you're someone who's holding themselves back, who's like, yeah, but I'm getting rejected, or it might be hidden away, because often, if I'm honest with you, a lot of the times my rejection was like, yeah, it's not the right time, I'm not ready. And I see this all the time, like, oh yeah, I'd love to come in your podcast, Johnny, but yeah, it's just not the right time, when actually they're fearful of what someone might say when I have a further conversation. So often it can be BS, well, let's just be honest, bullshit at the top, where they're giving excuses when actually it's a fear of rejection. So that's been true to me, maybe it's true to you, right? That actually underneath that's the fear of rejection, and that's ruining the quality of your life. So let's not let it rule your life. Let's talk through some practical points. Now, the first thing, I was having a conversation with my mentor, my hero, the other day. He says you can activate different characters in your life, different personalities. Now, there's a great book about like different architects. Well, actually, it's a general kind of like theme in personal growth, an area when you're looking at different parts of you and personalities, that we've got different parts of us, like the warrior, the lover, the magician, the king or queen, right? Or sovereign. And we can call on different parts of those in ourselves when we need it, right? If we really need to work hard, we need to work hard at the gym, we might call the warrior. If someone needs our affection, we might call the lover within us. If we really need to make a big decision and activate the best out of us, we might call the sovereign, the king or the queen, right? If we need to be creative, we might call the magician. There's a great book on that. It's basically called King, Magician, Warrior. Let me say that again. Warrior, Magician, Lover, Sovereign. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, just look it up. Look up those kind of different personality types. But my mentor was saying to me, activate, it doesn't have to be those parts, but activate a part of you that's courageous and willing to go through challenge. Now, in my day-to-day, I have to challenge quite a lot of people, particularly in sales, because I do it out of love. I don't do it out of like, I just want to get money and, obviously there is money to it, and that's obviously an incentive for everyone. Let's not lie. But I do it out of a place of people coming on the calls. I don't cold call to know more, and there's a part of them that's fearful of changing something in their life, and it's my job to challenge them at times, and my team's job to challenge them, and that can involve me. And it surprises me because a few years ago I'd be like, I'd never been in the area of sales. That terrifies me, right? And it's possible. I think most things are possible for most people. It's just with hard work and persistence. Sometimes people look at me and say, you must have all this natural confidence and this ability. I've had to work so hard consistently to get it, right? And you can too. So activate a different character in you that's going to bring out the courage, the warrior, whatever you need. Just name that part of you and bring them out and really feel into that part of you. Like you call it like the true warrior, or whatever you want to call it, when you need to come out and be really courageous, and just feel into that part and then activate that. But you can go back to you. It doesn't mean you need to be harsh and heavy all the time and change who you are. But the moments that require you to be courageous, call on that part, especially when you're facing the fear of rejection. The second thing, take smaller actions. Sometimes people think I've got to do something massive. No, just break it down into smaller things. I've said this example many times. One of the things that helped me with public speaking, which is activates a huge level of fear of rejection, I was terrified, was just to speak in smaller groups and then build up from there, right, into like bigger rooms of people. So break down and then celebrate every time you take action, because that's going to encourage you to do more of it, whatever the outcome, right? And then the final one is look at the worst case scenario, because we have a survival mind, and our survival mind's wired to keep us alive. It's like thinking things are life or death sometimes when we're public speaking, when actually it's not. But it's looking for real threats, because that's the part of the brain, the limbic part of the brain is looking for real threats, right? So when you're coming to a fear of rejection, actually ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario? What is going to be the worst case scenario here, right? So if you're going to do a talk, worst case scenario, people don't like it, right? You ask someone out on a date, worst case scenario, they say no. Okay. And even if like they tell someone else, right, that's not going to kill you. Asking yourself, is this really going to impact my survival, is a good question as well. Because then your limbic survival part, like, actually, this isn't a real threat. Now, of course, there's always going to be a little bit of fear, but that can ease it when you start logically talking to it. So thinking about the worst case scenario and actually seeing that it's not actually that bad can really, really help as well. But of course, do take small actions as well, and then bring out that courageous part of you, like I said. Got a final point I want to share with you. But again, want to mention again that if you want to connect with me on social media, I'll leave my links below. And if you're someone who's like, I really want to clear a lot out, or I really want to express myself, I want to experience breath work, this is something I'm certified in, it's something I've worked on, then you can find my links to that in the show notes below as well. My final point for you would be to celebrate every single outcome. I know I talked about this, but I want to emphasize it again. Celebrating is absolutely key. Schedule time every single day to celebrate all you've achieved, because that's going to encourage you to take more action than being focused on the outcome and worrying about rejection. So that's what I got for you today. I appreciate you for being here, and remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.